Hey guys, welcome back. It's Eric. This will be a third part of talking about graphite and graphite shafts, and maybe even throwing some steel in there again about the benefit for you using your irons. Let's go a little deeper into the construction of graphite, and at that point it can start to clear some things up. You can find out if you've looked at graphite shafts for irons that there is a large discrepancy of cost, even in drivers. It's a large discrepancy of cost of graphite shafts. So again, what's the difference between the ones that are upwards of $1,000 and the ones that are like $40 to $50? All right. So we briefly talked about a company called Aerotech that makes a filament wound shaft. So the filament wound, what does that really mean, and how is it good for me? So the filament wound is the width of a human hair. It's spun around a form, and as it's being spun around that form, it's actually having resin, right? That's going to be utilized to hold that whole material together and hold that whole shaft together. Over the years, as they've made some advances, in old school graphite, they used to have the proportions of carbon fiber content to resin content. It used to require more resin content than carbon fiber content to keep them together. The resins of old when exposed to a lot of heat and a lot of UV light in particular, used to get hard and brittle, so they used to break easily. But now, as time has gone on, there's been lots of development within resins, in particular in nano resins, and now they're not necessarily as susceptible at all to breakdown of any variety from heat or UV light. So again, now what basically happens is the roles have been reversed. Now they can make graphite that is significantly less in resin content and higher in carbon fiber content, and then basically make a piece of equipment that's lighter and stronger. So that's a great thing. That's been amazing leaps going forward, in particular with graphite, because for the longest time it was almost impossible to start to get iron shafts in particular that were going through turf and such to be lightweight and durable without breaking. I remember that as time has gone on. Now most of the companies do a super job, and that's the only thing that I can assume is the increase in better quality resins. So again, that's sort of the holy grail when it comes down to it. You get a symmetrical shaft that has a good carbon fiber to resin content, and it's fairly round. Again, that's really great. Then you have the versatility to work with different types of swings. The more that you waste energy, you might need a shaft that's more light, more flexible for all of the misdirections that you do, versus somebody who has a better swing and is going to keep a simpler path can generally stand a piece of equipment, a shaft that is a little bit more rigid and a little bit heavier, and still be efficient. So again, that's a big one. Now going a little bit further, we talked about filament wound. Now let's talk about the sheet wrapped ones. So the sheet wrapped ones, again, start off, they kind of have a wedge type of a look to it. It goes over a form or a mandrel. But generally, most of the time, those layers are pre-impregnated with some form of resin. And again, you have the more expensive varieties, you'll have a higher quality resin. The less expensive varieties, you'll have let's call it a lesser quality resin, but it doesn't mean that they're going to fall apart. It just means, again, that resin to carbon fiber content will change. All right. So as they start to filament, as they start to wrap them, that is. After they're finished, they're sanded, and then they're finished, with the paint finishes and such that you see. And generally, what you'll find across the board is that they still can work out just fine and still be durable and work out great. So that's the basics when it comes down to talking about how they're constructed, and hopefully, this is something that begins to shed some light on some of the costs. The more in-depth and the more expensive the raw material, generally the more expensive the piece of equipment will be. However, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the greatest piece of equipment that's out there. Without testing it, you'll never know. I've seen some pretty inexpensive shafts that have worked very well for people. And again, what does that really mean? It's a matter of doing your research. If you do your research, you get with a club maker that's, again, I continually say, that really knows what they're doing and willing to work with you, then you can experiment with this kind of thing. And it's worthwhile because it doesn't have to be super expensive in this game to get a really, really good performing set of irons. All right. So anyway, that's another little installment. I really hope that everybody got some information from this that they find valuable. And please reach out to me at any of the social outlets in any way, social media, Facebook, even my email address, Eric at beyondthegreengolf@gmail.com. All right. Hope everybody is having a great day, and we'll see you again with another installment. Take care.